Zamfara citizens comply with partial lockdown order as figures of COVID-19 victims increases. Nigeria records 381 new COVID-19 cases. Buhari approves 5 bank accounts for COVID-19 donations. On business, Nigeria plans to inject 2 trillion naira stimulus into the economy. And on the international scene, ECOWAS Commission denies ordering COVID-19 organic medication. Welcome to Standard Voice Television News. My name is Samira Ibrahim. Now the news in full. As Zamfara enters day 4 of partial lockdown, the level of compliance with the lockdown order among the citizens of the state was highly impressive. From Lala Runabout to Unguwa Gwaza, Gadabiu, Government House up to Bello Barau Runabout, and Kanwuri back to Kantin Daji, Svtv correspondents noticed absolute compliance with the order as very few people were seen moving around for special purposes. They have also visited places like Mariri, Gidandawa and part of Anka Road, down to former Deputy Governor's house at Tulukawa, and the situation was almost the same with all other areas visited. They observed that very few cases of trucks trying to get access to the capital city through the entry borders were noticed even when they were not carrying essential commodities like food and drugs. With the exemption of a truck conveying foodstuffs from Suru and intercepted by men of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps at Bello Barau Runabout, all other vehicle trucks stopped by men of Zaruta along Sokoto Bypass Road were conveying non-essential commodities and had to be intercepted and referred back to Zaruta head office. One of the drivers interviewed said he was carrying fertilizer from Kano and was heading to Sokoto without being forced to stop at the entry border, and that he was not informed of the partial lockdown order in Zamfara, but appealed to the officials to allow him proceed with his journey. Along the old FMC Wusau, some pharmacies were made opened and some health workers were seen moving out of their places of work going back home. Along Lalan Runabout, officers of Nigerian Police Force had effectively blocked dozens of trucks from getting entry into Gusau, and the entry roundabout was almost sealed. In its efforts to contain the spread of coronavirus known as COVID-19 in the state, the Zamfara State Enforcement Committee for COVID-19, under the leadership of the Commissioner of Police Zamfara State Command CP Usman Nagogo, has called on the general public, especially private, commercial drivers, Okada riders, Keke Napep operators and their passengers to always wear face masks, wash their hands and observe social distancing. The call became necessary considering the prevailing situation people have found themselves because of coronavirus pandemic. CP Usman Nagogo said all hands must be on decks to contain the rapid spread of the deadly virus. He urges members of the public to abide by all government orders so that the desired result can be achieved. He appreciates the good people of the state for complying with the restriction of movement order, which is currently going on, and appeals for continued cooperation to this regard. The State Anti-Corruption Commission is to go after any civil servant that extorts members of the NLC in the name of distributing substandard rights of the government. This disclosure was made by the State Special Advisor on Labour Matters, Comrade Bello Galadima Moguru, in a telephone interview with Standard Voice Television SVTV. Comrade Moguru said they have received a series of complaints that some government agencies, especially Arabic and Islamic Education Board, is collecting 1,000 naira before release of expiration of interest form to state civil servants, and that he has visited the board and wants its officials to stay away from that action or face the wrath of the government. He noted that 67,000 civil servants from the state and local government areas are to benefit from a total of 94,226 bags of rice, saying participation is not compulsory. Comrade Moguru assured that strong machineries have been put in place to checkmate the activities of middlemen who may take advantage of the situation to buy off the rice from the civil servants at compromised prices. The National Judicial Council (NJC) has released guidelines for court sittings during the COVID-19 pandemic to reduce the spread. The guidelines issued by the NJC committee headed by Mr. Justice Olabode Rodebibo are contained in a statement issued by the NJC Director of Information, Mr. Soji Oye, on Thursday. It is entitled The National Judicial Council Guidelines for Court Sitting and Related Matters in the COVID-19 Period. Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari on Wednesday said the unabated insecurity threatening the Northwest region and Katsina State in particular is fast making the people lose confidence in the administration. Speaking when the Chief of Defense Training and Operations, General Leo Orabo, paid him a visit, he said the residents of the state are beginning to mobilize to confront the bandits in view of the increasing attacks on their communities. The governor stated if the brigade and division are empowered with materials and logistics, they will see the end of the terrorists. In a related development, the situation in the Northwest is becoming worrisome. The unfortunate situation of the coronavirus pandemic is what is covering the information on the number of killings through banditry. The governor said the people are now living under daily threat of bandits. Masari further said, for him, it will take the risk of saying these bandits are worse than animals because they lack any form of education. They don't behave like Muslims. Our dialogue with them is working in most places, but it's not working in some respects. We need a complete clean-up operation. He said, unless the complete structure of banditry is destroyed, we can never have peace. Earlier, General Irabo said they were in the stage to see the true position of things and work out solutions towards addressing the menace. Nigeria has recorded 381 new cases of coronavirus, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 3,526. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC) confirmed this in a tweet on Thursday. The center said this is the highest number of cases recorded in a single day in the country. The NCDC also said that Nigeria recorded 4 deaths, bringing the total number of deaths to 107. The agency said that the new cases recorded were in 34 states and the Federal Capital Territory. NCDC said that of the new cases, 183 were in Lagos, 55 are in Kano, 44 in Jigawa, while 19 each are in Zamfara and Bauchi. Among others were 11 in Katsina, 9 in Borno, 8 in Kwara, 7 in Kaduna, 6 in Gombe, 5 in Ogun, 4 in Sokoto, 3 in Oyo and Rivers, 2 in Niger, and 1 each in Akwa Ibom, Enugu and Plateau states. According to NCDC, as at 11:20 p.m. May 7, 2020, Nigeria has 2,818 active cases of COVID-19, while 601 people have been discharged. The center said the continuous increase in number of infections rose due to the increased capacity for testing across the country. Now reports that the agency has conducted 22,492 tests as at May 6th. This represents the daily average of 321 tests. Sacked Kano Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Ma'azu Magaji, has tested positive for COVID-19. He was sacked on April 18 by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje for working late Chief of Staff to the President Muhammadu Buhari, Malam Abba Kyari, who recently died of coronavirus. Former Commissioner Magaji declared his health status in a Facebook post on Thursday. He wrote, "Dear all, I do truly apologize to you not getting across to me on phone or messages. I have been indisposed due to the ongoing health challenges some of us going through in Kano, and inshallah it will be well." The president of the Association of Industrial Security and Safety Operators of Nigeria, Dr. Ona Okomu, has faulted the claim by the presidential panel on the mysterious death in Kano State that COVID-19 was responsible for the death. He said that the panel erred in its conclusion because the method it used in determining the cause of the death, COD, did not conform to the methodology for forensic pathology. Reacting to the preliminary report of the Dr. Nasir Sani Gwarzo-led presidential panel in a press release he issued on Thursday, Ehomu said that the panel should have conducted conventional autopsy on the bodies to determine the cause of the death. He said the so-called bubble stoppies are unscientific, have no validity, have no reality, and certainly are not reproducible. Mr. Ekomi said that relying on the age of victims amounted to more profiling and a class characteristics, which he said will not explain the individual deaths. According to him, the panel's report blaming the deaths on COVID-19 is fatally flawed, did not reach the threshold of forensic pathology, and should not have made such a worthy conclusion. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the opening of 5 COVID-19 donor accounts, which form part of the existing Treasury Single Account TSA arrangement in 5 commercial banks. Mr. Henshaw Ogubike, Director Information and Press, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, made this known in a statement in Abuja on Tuesday. Mr. Ogumbike disclosed that the approved banks were Zenith Bank, Access Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, UBA, and First Bank. He explained that the framework covered all public funds allocated and dedicated to the fight against COVID-19, including the fiscal stimulus package, as well as all donations by corporate bodies and individuals of the federal government towards the fight against COVID-19 and the mitigation of its social and economic effect on citizens. The Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited has decried the falling crude oil prices at the international market due to the coronavirus pandemic. It said it was struggling to survive but will not abandon its responsibility to its stakeholders. The oil giant donated food items worth millions of naira to its host communities of OML 58 in Oba, Ebeme, Nodi local government areas of Rivers State. The food items comprising 800 bags of rice, 3,050 cartons of noodles were handed over by TMNG to the King of Egeland, Professor Anele Wokoma, and President General of Egi People's Assembly, Magnus Elemele. Total's Deputy Director General, Public Affairs and Communication, Mr. Onyekachi Omenuko, assured the communities that the company will continue to support them at all times. He said that the palliatives will have been more, but that the company was currently struggling to survive following declining global oil prices. He appealed to the people to obey all precautionary measures against COVID-19 to stop its spread. Governor Mayabala Bunu has urged Nigerians to disregard an online report claiming that there were COVID-19 related deaths in the state. The governor stated this in a statement on Thursday by his Director General of Press and Media Affairs, Malam Mamman Mohammed. The report also claimed that the governor Mayabala Bunu was in Abuja while his people were dying. The governor enjoined the publishers to always cross-check their facts and reflect the true position to balance the story. The official of the National Center for Disease Control (NCDC), Dr. Andrew Noor, ordered to be isolated FCD by the Kogi State government, Alhaji Hayya Bello, have fled the state to avoid being subjected to COVID-19 tests. This was disclosed by the State Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fanwo, in a statement issued late Thursday night. Governor Bello has ordered the leader of the NCDC delegation to proceed on isolation for shaking hands with the Director of Protocol, Sunday Oyenibi, after taking microphone from him. The governor had also explained that Dr. Andrew had contravened the rules and regulations of NCDC and so should be tested for COVID-19 since he was coming from the epicenter of the disease. On business, Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Prince Clem Ikanadi Abba, has said that the federal government expects the injection of about 2 trillion naira stimulus into the economy in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the fall in oil prices. He spoke on Tuesday at a webinar on Citizens Dialogue Session on government fiscal policy decisions to the fall in oil prices and the COVID-19 pandemic, organized by the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, and supported by Partnership to Engage, Reform and Learn, and the UK Department for International Development. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, participated in the virtual meeting. Mr. Akbar, in response to a question on what the Economic Sustainability Committee, under the chairs of Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, was doing to deal with the pandemic and the fall in crude oil prices, said the committee had outlined 5 broad policy objectives with which to deal with the problems. After highlighting the objectives, he said, all in all, when everything is put together, both government funding and the funds we are expected to get from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, banks of industry and other multilateral agencies, and grants that we are receiving, we expect to get a stimulus of about 3 trillion naira going into the economy. Mr. Abbas stated that they are fighting a dual pandemic, both health and economic pandemic. It is no longer a secret that government revenues have collapsed and oil prices have fallen. Demand for oil has also fallen. There is a glut in supply, and this is generally affecting manufacturing and other non-oil sectors. So, for the Economic Sustainability Committee, they had basically looked at some 5 broad policy objectives. One is, how do they save lives in response to the pandemic and support the presidential task force? How do they take care of the vulnerabilities that they have in the system? How do they keep the economy off the ravages of the pandemic? That is to say, they know that they are going into recession, and how do they make it short-lived and shallow? On the international scene, the ECOWAS Commission has refuted a report that it, along with its health institution, West Africa Health Organization, WAHO, has ordered COVID organic medicines. The Director of Communications, ECOWAS Commission, debunked the report in a statement on Thursday in Abuja. According to the statement, the ECOWAS Commission and WAHO reiterate their commitment to delivering on the decisions made by the ECOWAS head of state and government at their recent extraordinary summit on the fight against COVID-19. The Commission disassociated ECOWAS and its health institution, West Africa Health Organization, WAHO, from this claim and informed the general public that they have not ordered the said CVO medication. It said it is aware that several claims of COVID-19 cure have been made in different parts of the world, but they can only support and endorse products that have been shown to be effective through scientific study. For this reason, WAHO is collaborating with relevant partners including WHO, African CDC, and national, regional, and international research consortia to promote scientific search for a cure. It said they are working with member states on some of the medications available for clinical trials and for use on a compassionate basis in selected severe cases. Some of the traditional medicine centers of excellence in the ECOWAS region are also currently investigating product of essential efficacy. According to the statement, ECOWAS Commission and WAHO will continue to focus on delivering on the decisions made by the ECOWAS head of state and government at their recent extraordinary summit on the fight against COVID-19. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Zamfara citizens comply with partial lockdown order as figures of COVID-19 victims increases. Nigeria records 381 new COVID-19 cases. Buhari approves 5 bank accounts for COVID-19 donations. On business, Nigeria plans to inject 2 trillion naira stimulus into the economy. And on the international scene, ECOWAS Commission denies ordering COVID-19 organic medication. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, Ibrahim Garbatina, I am Samira Ibrahim, wishing you a pleasant day. Keep watching Standard Television News. Goodbye.